Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk and I'm Heidi Smith. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the United Kingdom, and today I'm coming along with a bit of an Advent treat for you. This is just a fun little trio of explosion chocolate boxes. So I have used some lovely gorgeous cottage wreaths to create this little decoration for the front, and the paper I've used is actually a host paper in the July to December catalogue called Celebrate Everything. I can't find my sample bits, but this is the paper, and it's a bumper pack. You can only get it with your Stampin' Rewards, and you get 4 sheets of 12 different designs, and of course they're double-sided. This is probably my favourite. It's this one here because I love the snowflakes. We've got some gorgeous black and white designs and more muted on the front. We've got some lovely Christmas trees. So, you know, this is one that when you spend £150, you can choose this with your rewards, and it's the only way you can get it. But obviously it's tremendous value. You've got Christmas themes and more generic themes, some wood grain there, obviously sort of Halloween, just stripes. This one I thought actually is lovely. I'm not so sure about that, but that's probably because I don't do a lot with Pacific Point. Some super leaf designs with this granny apple green, fireworks, so New Year celebration, and some stripes and some more sort of like festive ones, big bold stripes with some dots, and I think that's it. So anyway, because you get so much, you can really, you know, when you come to do box making, you can use whatever you want. Now it does use cardstock that is more than 6 by 6, so it's only, you know, you would need some 12 by 12 to do this, at least for some of the layers. But hey, so what do they look like? So I have used some of our lovely Baker's twine in the in colour. So although Granny Apple Green is one of our basic colours and Parakeet Party is an in colour, you can see here that actually it picks it up really well. So, and I've also used some of the same Parakeet Party in colour shimmery ribbon as well. So we've got 3 different boxes, and these are all sized for Ferreros as well. So in my top one, when you lift off this little lid, you'll see it just comes 3/4 of the way down. I got these fun Christmas pudding kind of balls, and they just explode out and then just pop in. So this means that they're really quick and easy because you're not having to glue some of these. My second layer. Now these are dupes. So those of you who like the red shiny ones by a certain company, these are from Aldi, and they are the equivalent. They're luxury truffles. So you can get 3, and you could probably get a 4th one in there as well. And then the bottom one is either 6 of our Ferrero friends, or you can see here I've got some little Christmas tree decorations. So I thought this was a great little trio that's going to go on the Christmas table for my boys, so they've got a nice little selection of chocolates, and you can see it makes a nice little stack. Obviously you can put gifts in there, so if you're giving someone some jewellery, that, you know, some earrings could go in the top one, then you could have a bracelet in here, and then some chocolates. Lots of ways of packaging. So let's get started. The great thing is the scoring measurements are actually the same for all 3 sizes. So I will show you, I've done a middle size box. I'm going to show you how to do the smaller one and the larger one, just to show how quick and easy they are. Here we go. So this is our middle size box, and I've done this with some basic white and a lid, and this is actually my inches on. So this is me checking that it does work in inches as well. And you can see a little explosion box and a reinforced lid. Because it's DSP, we want to get that nice depth on the inside there. Now, if you wanted to be frugal with your paper, you could change the measurements so you just had a narrow bit, but you know, I just felt it fitted and worked so much better. Then when you pop the lid on, you'll just need to squeeze it up together, and then it goes in really nicely. So let's get started. What are you going to need? So you are going to need, for the bottom box, and let's start with that one, you're going to need a piece of card, and the card for the base is 17.5 by 14 centimetres, 5.5 by 6 7/8. The DSP is 21.7 by 18.2, which is 7 1/8 by 8.5. And we are going to do some scoring. And the scoring, as I said, is the same for all of the lids. So whatever size paper you have, you're going to score it in the same way. So you are going to score really easily at 2.5 on each of the 4 sides. Now this paper is slightly directional, which is not ideal, but you know, if you've got one that is not directional, that's even better. But I figured it wouldn't matter too much on this one because it's triangles and it's kind of, you know, you're not reading words or anything. So 2.5 on each of 4 sides, and then so I've done that on the right hand side, and then on the left hand side I'm going to score it 5.5 on each of the 4 sides. And it is as simple as that. So that's the scoring done on my lid. I'm going to do my base now. So this one is again really easy, but this is just 3.5 on each of the 4 sides. So as you can see, I'm just coming around here. The next thing you're going to want to do, which is slightly different on this, is actually do some diagonal scoring. And what I have done is I'm just going to grab a pencil, and you're going to, that's a broken pencil, so I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use one of my erasable pens, she says. And I'm just going to mark where those intersect. So you can see here, I'm just going to put a dot, so a pencil or an erasable pen. And this is just so that I can do it on the scoreboard. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to line up each point and then line up that dot in the track. So hopefully you can see that just down here in the track I've lined up that dot, and I'm just going to come and score that corner. I'm going to repeat that on all 4 corners. And obviously normally with a square we're able to line it up just with the 2 points, but obviously we've got a rectangle here, so that is not going to work. But I'm just, as I say, putting that corner into the track and then just swivelling until that little dot appears, and then just scoring up to score that diagonal. Now obviously you could do that if you wanted with a ruler, and you take your pick, embossing end. And then I'm going to come across and I'm going to line up the 2 score lines in the track and cut that corner off. Now this isn't essential, but I do find it means the box folds up better and is less bulky. But obviously this is why we do our diagonal scoring first, so we don't have to measure across the corner. So just cut those 4 corners away, like so. And that actually is our box base. So come in and get rid of those little marks. And then I'm going to reinforce these score lines. Just grab your bone folder. And then you can just fold those corners in like so. And that creates our little pop-out tray. So now to make our lid, just reinforce those score lines. You don't need a bone folder for this one, it is only DSP. Oh, and when you are scoring the DSP, you don't need to be quite as firm as you would with card. So once you've reinforced them, you're going to grab your snips, and you're going to cut away the outer 3 squares of each. I'm just trying to think which might be the easiest side to show you on. So I'm going to come just a fraction in on that score line and just cut the outer 3 squares from each corner. Like so. I never know whether it's better on lighter colours. as you know, I do sometimes do diagrams on paper just to show, but I think this one, you know, once you've got your own one with the score lines on, and when I've finished this, you'll be able to see how easy this trimming is. It's a reinforced box, which I've done on other projects as well, just to get that nice smooth lid, and it gives the DSP just a bit of substance as well. So once you trim the way, you're going to have a piece that looks like this, and then we're going to create our tabs. Now, if you watched my videos before, when I do a reinforced lid, I like to do what I call a pinwheel. So the tabs are not all on one side. So you can see I'm just turning it a quarter turn, cutting straight down to create a tab, and then just trimming that away on each side, a quarter turn. And I find by doing it that way, I get a nice, what it does is it creates the bulk in each of the corners, so it's a nice even box. If you do them where the tabs are both on the same side, it can just distort it slightly, so you might not get quite such an even box. Okay, now onto glue. I'm just using Seal. It's DSP, so you know you really don't need anything stronger. I'm using Seal as well for speed, but you could use Tombow if that's your preferred option. And I'm coming down just on the outer edge and on my tab, folding it in and coming down that outer square edge. And the reason for that is when we create our box, we're going to line up those corners first, like so. Each of those corners, pop the tab in place, and then you're going to come in and just fold those sides in, and each of those sides then holds the tab in place. And then I do like to come in and just burnish each of those down, and then bring your box in. And you can see I've just pressed slightly in there. It's nice and flush, and that just makes it easy to put together. So there's our second in our box, our bigger box stack. You can see building up quite nicely there. And as I said about this one being obviously directional, as I say, because you've sort of got them sideways on the side there, but I don't think it matters for this. As you can see, some really bright and cheerful ones. So we've got our top box left to make, and we've got our stamping to do as well. So let's do our stamping. Now I've used the cottage wreath bundle here, so I'm going to show you how to do this and a couple of tips for lining up. Cottage wreaths stamp set, the coordinating dies you can see here. And I'm going to need this die, and I'm going to need the, I might actually use the detailed bow for that. And I have got the leaf wreath, the twigs, and as I say, on the other one I use the bows. Now these are textured, so they're the distinctive stamps, so they give a lovely sense of texture without any additional stamping. And you have got sentiments, so you could always add a Merry Christmas. You've got little berries that you could add on there as well, all sorts of things to add some extra dimension. And I've got a couple of cards coming up using this as well. Let me show you. So this card here I've got coming up, you can see the bow there with the lovely texture and those holly berries to give it a lovely dimension as well. So that's a freestanding pocket card that I've got coming up too. So let's get stamping. So because I'm using sort of pinks and reds, wouldn't normally put them together, but hey, you know, always worth a try. Here's polished pink, which I'm going to use for my base, and the twigs I'm going to use using Poppy Parade. Now you'll see on here that I've put a little orangey dot, and that is because when your stamps go in here, you'll see there's a little arrow on either of these, and this is to line up with our dies. So I've put those in my on the case, and I've then marked where that little dot is. So when I come to stamp, I'm just inking that up in polished pink. I'm popping that to the top left, like so. So that's my initial wreath. I'm then going to come in with my Poppy Parade And I've done the same on there, and so that means I'm going to pop that in, and that is going to fairly easily kind of line up. So it's not designed to be an exact match, or I don't think it is, but there we go. It's near enough, and it just gives that lovely feel. Where this does come into its own now is with our die, because our die has this extra little sticky out bit. And so when you put that in place on here, she says, that was where our dot was, of that top left hand corner, and you can see if you put this up to the top left hand corner, very easy to line it up. Now what I've done here is I found it's easiest, rather than trying to line up the outside, I line up the inside, so that aperture, and you'll see a really nice fit. So I'm just going to pop that through, and I'm also going to cut myself a little bow out of some real red. I'm not going to use real red at all. I'm going to use a bit of Poppy Parade as well to create a little bow. So I will be back in just a moment. So here are our die cuts. We've got a lovely wreath. We've got a pretty red bow, and just with one pass through, we're ready to go. So we can create those, pop those on a little loop. I've just got my ribbon here. So I'm going to want enough ribbon to loop through and then loop it through on itself. So I'm guessing that's around about probably 12 inches or so of ribbon. So I'm just going to pop that through and find a kind of a narrow bit of my wreath. And I'm just going to loop that. So this is the sweet sorbet ribbon, in fact. But again, I felt it's got, because it's sparkle, it's got enough kind of difference in the tones that it will fit really well. Once that's done, I'm going to pop a double knot through the very top. And again, you can always tie that tighter later on, like so. And then I'm going to grab some dimensionals. I can only find my large dimensionals at the moment, which is going to be far too big. So let's just snip one of those down. So it's like just over, it's about a quarter of a dimensional. One of the mini dimensionals does fit really well in the middle here. Even that's too big actually. There we go. I'm just going to trim that down. Right. Once you've got that in place, I'm just going to pop that at the opposite to my little tag. So there's my decorative wreath. And then let's get on with making our top box. So as I've said, the easiest way with this is exactly the same scoring measurements, but you want to know what size card. So the polished pink is 10.5 by 14 centimetres, 5.5 by 4 1/8, and the DSP is 14.7 by 18.2, 7 1/8 by 5 3/8. And as I said before, the scoring is quite simple. It is 2.5 on all four sides. So I'm doing that on the right hand side again. And then 5.5. So that's all four sides done. And then on the base, 3.5, 1 3/8 on all four sides. So 3.5. Then we're going to come in and do our marking again. So just a reminder that this is just marking where those lines intersect so that you can do the diagonal scoring. So again, just lining that dot up and that point. And with that, I probably should have said, you've got a little horizontal line on each side of your score, so you've got a little dip in the bottom, which shows you where your scoring tool, and that's a scoring tool, and you've got a line, so that shows you kind of where you're going to score up until as well. So if you're ever not sure, then just lift up, double check, and go just a fraction more if you need to. And as I say, once that's done, we can get rid of those dots and just cut those corners off. Like so. And the last one. So now, having done that, we're going to create our box lid. You can see here, like so, and then we can go and trim our four corners. So again, just cutting away those outer 3 squares on all 4 corners. And as I said, I kind of come in just from the inside at a very slight angle on those, because you want to keep some of the bulk away so it doesn't kind of curl up in the corner. And it fits nice and flush, but you also want to get it so that the sides are covered as much as possible. You don't want big gaps. And there we go. Okay, so there we have our 2 pieces ready to create our box. Or rather, do our tabs first. So tabs, exactly the same as before. So again, this quarter turn, I said, so turn, and I'm just cutting up to those score lines. And these can be obviously more sort of tabbed out because they're going to be hidden by the flaps as well. And then onto some adhesive. So again, seal on that outer edge and on the long edge. So on the edge of the tab, just close to it, and then on the long edge. So tab, and the same here. And there we are, folding those tabs. And if you fold them in, as I'm doing there, line up and then just push out with your thumb, you'll get a nice nice square corner, and just pinch those if you need to. And you can just come in, as I said, and fold those down, fold those in, run your bone folder around just to make sure you've got some good adhesion, fold and reinforce our creases on our box, and said if you want to, you can always on that one just reinforce, and then it's ready for you to, these are ready for you to pop your chocolates in and then tie up. So nice and snug, as you can see. 1, 2, 3, and ready to go with some of our twine. So you can use whatever twine you happen to have. As I say, I used our baker's twine, but you could also use the lovely sweet sorbet. So let's just grab that here now. And I'm just going to go round, in this instance, with the twine I went round 3 times, just to give it a bit more substance. And when I tie my box up, cross over and then through another time. Put it through, and then you can tie your bow And obviously you could tie that in a stack if you wanted. I felt it was enough as it was there. And then you can add your wreath, and as you see, because I've left it long enough, you just pop that through to add. And as I said, this is where if you wanted to shorten that once it's in place, just tie an extra overhand knot. She says work out where you want it, tie an extra overhand knot, and then trim down accordingly. So there we have our second stack of chocolate boxes. Perfect for a table, bit of fun, and when they open up, remember, you're going to get that lovely little explosion with some little treats in. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You'll see that on my picture just in the bottom left hand corner, and I've got other videos coming up which you'll see on the right hand side in my 3D projects. So thanks for watching. Come back and see me again soon. Bye now.